Earlier this year, I got to play Ocarina of Time for the very first time, and I have to say the graphics were a little bit hard to get used to. Then I beat the first dungeon, and I still didn't get why people liked the game so much. But as I played the game more, so many things in this game just gave me such a sense of adventure. So let me tell you why I love The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Well, the first thing I think this game nailed was its atmosphere. I honestly think that they couldn't have done it better. The mysteriousness of the forest temple actually creeped me out at first. The Deku Tree made me feel isolated from the outside world, and Hyrule Field made me feel jovial and courageous. Even though some things like Jabu Jabu's belly made me feel disgusted, whatever feeling this game wanted me to feel, it did it perfectly. However, I do wish that that dungeon wasn't so gross. And that ties in pretty nicely with the next thing I want to talk about. It's music. Some of the most iconic Zelda tunes are right here in this blocky game. The fact that Koji Kondo managed to make 10 different short songs, starting with a 5-note limitation, is just crazy. Because these melodies are so easy to recall, it makes you want to whistle them all day long. The dungeon music is also incredibly atmospheric. The way they got a sample that sounds like wood and sticks in the forest temple was brilliant, and the way they made each song not just be great but fit in with the dungeon in mind was so cool. There's so much to talk about here that I probably can't fit it into the video, so let's move on to the next segment. Ocarina of Time's combat is a mixed bag in my opinion. The mechanics themselves used in it are great, like Z targeting, and swinging your sword in different ways with the analog stick is pretty cool. For example, sometimes when I play a non-Zelda game after Ocarina of Time, I press the Z button only to realise the game doesn't really work like that. Despite having spin attacks, side hopping, and an array of items for this, it was slightly clunky for me. Sometimes I think I've attacked when I was a frame or two late, and this may be because I play this on the Switch, but controlling the bow and stuff like that is a bit too sensitive. However, the design of the enemies and bosses were mostly really amazing, and figuring out their unique attack patterns is really fun. Now, obviously, this game's graphics are not its strongest point. I do wish there was a version with better textures and a better look for a console rather than a handheld. I sometimes quite like this game's look, but sometimes it just looks really bad and grainy. And the way the camera works in places like Hyrule Castle Town is really weird. But back to the positives, this game has an amazing story. Awakening the sages, watching Ganondorf get more powerful, and even the way the story progresses is amazing. And the end sequence is really climactic. It's something I thought that Breath of the Wild lacked in. Finally, there is one thing this game has that very few games I have ever played have ever had, and that's the feeling you get when you start up the game. Sometimes I just watch this game's title screen over and over because it's that good, and even though I've never touched this game until this year, I'm already getting nostalgia from it. But I feel like it's something that isn't just nostalgia, it's a sense of adventure, comfort and happiness that only my favourite game has topped. So yeah, Ocarina of Time isn't my favourite game ever by any means, but I'm running out of words to replace the word great and amazing in this video, and I think that says something about it. So if you're just getting into other Zelda games like I am, I couldn't recommend this enough, and if you prefer a different Zelda game to play, feel free to watch my Skyward Sword review.